أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على نبي الكريم. It's very interesting that we're here talking about Hausa, digital, and so on. And I find it also very interesting that we are focusing attention on translations and domestication of words and concepts. Generally speaking, you domesticate something if you have it, or if you have an equivalent. If you don't have an equivalent, you use it as it is. Hausa language, as it is at the moment, has 1,543 Arabic loanwords. If you remove these 1,543 Arabic loanwords out of Hausa language, the language will collapse. And at the same time, other languages have also contributed to the development of Hausa language. Hausa language is very absorptive. It picks up, adapts, and then domesticates. Concepts, ideas, names that we take for granted as Hausa are not really Hausa. Jaki, Itachi, Teku, Karwa, these are all not Hausa words. They are words we borrowed from other languages, but we domesticated them. So I was very interested when they started talking about what is data, what is Hausa in data. And this has been going on for a very long time. To me, data means kututturen bayanai. Data is different from information. Data is a unit of information. It's only when you get data that you have information. And therefore, when you have a tomato, albasa, nama, may, these are all data. It is only when you put them together and cook them, they become a soup. And then that soup communicates information. Kai amma wannan miya ta yi daɗi. Amma wannan miya ta ji nama, wannan jar miya ce. So you are making information. You are creating interpretation of the soup. And that is what it is all about. So yes, we can continue talking about domesticating these things for Hausa language. It is very fine. But let's not forget the fact that all languages in the world borrow from other languages and domesticate them. And that is how knowledge becomes sustainable. Even if you remove English words from Hausa language, I won't face a lot of problems. And I'm not into Hausa language as such. I'm a scientist. I was trained as a scientist. And we got involved in a situation where we have professors of Hausa language. And Professor Al-Hat Muhammad Rufai of the Center for Nigerian Languages. And I was a consultant in the group to translate scientific terms into Hausa language. And we came across computer. And this was like what? In about 1981, 82. And their argument was that computer is inji na'ura mai kwakwalwa. Na'ura mai kwakwalwa. And I said, no, that is not Hausa. First of all, Na'ura is not Hausa language, it's Arabic. So, Anyiba. So, what are we going to call computer? So, we call it computer. What do we call motor? We call it motor. What do we call pencil? We have al-qalami, but we don't call it al-qalami. We call it biro. Biro is the name of a person who invented the company. He was an Italian. Biro, but Banaran Bureau. Bureau has now become domesticated as something to write with, even if it is a pen. So domestication is something that is very interesting. We started it, I think I started this a very long time ago when I created something that I call Gizan Sadarwa for internet. And I had a lot of arguments against people against this. They are saying, no, Yanar Gizo. And I said, no, it is wrong. Yana means web, which is okay. But Gizo means spider. And a spider is not a social animal. Wherever you see a spider, it is alone, hiding somewhere in a dark corner. That is why in Hausa language, you call somebody who doesn't like people, Kwangiro. Kwangiro is someone who doesn't like people. And it's a special type of spider that makes its house and nest in a very far off section of your roof. So how can an animal symbolize interactivity? It can't. So, but giza means multiple clouds moving and connecting people. And now we have, and this was like I said in the early 80s, and people were against it because they were using ankabutiya, which is the Arabic Middle Eastern media for it, and it is not. It's, maybe ankabutiya means the spider, ankabut, but it is not a spider. But now we have cloud storage. We have Google Drive, we have Microsoft OneDrive, and the common expression for all these things is cloud storage. And that goes back to my concept of Giza, Gizang, Sadarwa, the clouds. So it is very, very interesting that we are talking about domestication. HausaTech IGNITE looks at all these things about how we can domesticate. But my argument is that we don't really have to stretch ourselves in the domestication thing. Let us use what people normally use, what communicates, because at the end of the day, it is meaning that counts, not technical proficiency. We had a program in which we are teaching artisans on how to make cycles and so on. And we want to translate a circle into Hausa language. And everybody was saying daera, daera. So I said, let us talk to the practitioners themselves. What do you call a circle? They say round. Okay? So they use round, we use round. So you sit down intellectually, academically, and come up with a meaning which ordinary people don't use. So if kids around here, outside, use data, ban in the data, okay, let's adopt the concept that ban in the data means there's no communication. But when we try to translate it into a convoluted meaning that nobody uses, then that's where you're going to have a problem. This is similar to the current discussions being held about Hausa syllabary. People are coming up with all these squiggles and symbols that are claiming they are representing Hausa. It's not Latin, Roman, it is not Arabic, it is Hausa unique character. No problem, you can go ahead and do it. But the fact is nobody is going to use it because we already have something that we use. So you only domesticate if you have a vacuum. If there's no vacuum, when people can understand, they can use, you can just use it. So this initiative of domestication tend to forget one thing. Technology in 2025, as we are now, has become a commodity. And because it has become commodified, it becomes very, very difficult for us to find any other way around it except how it is packaged and delivered to us. And it's very, very important to understand this, that commodification of technology is tied down with our cultural identity. And we are facing these issues of the relationship between culture, identity, and technology at the moment. Internet, particularly social media, has given us a wider forum for engagement. It has given us a wider forum for disagreeing. And this has always been like that. In Kano here, at one stage in the 60s, it was prohibited by the Muslim Ummah for you to call the call for prayers using a loudspeaker. Wai sunan Allah ake faɗa da loudspeaker, subhanallah, duniya ta zo ƙarshe. It was prohibited. In Kano here, it was prohibited to transmit the tafsir on the radio. Tafsiri, a radio, subhanallah. That was what it was. And when Abdul Karim's people, Kannywood, came up with a song called Badakala, and in the song there is Subhanallah, La ilaha illallah, and then accompanied with a piano. No marketer in Kofar Wambai wanted to touch it. Ka faɗi sunan Allah da kuma piano na Kiristoci, ai wallahi ba za ta yi ba. And now you have people discoing in the name of the Lord with the pianos, drums, and guitars, and so on. So this interface is what HausaTech IGNITE will have to really focus attention on. Society, perception of technology and communication. This is very, very, very important. Religiously, social media has given us a room for disengagement, for disruption. And we don't just simply say, close it down, shut it down. No, what we say is, how do we deal with it? How do we flow with it? I'll give an example. Right now, we have a project called Dwelling Sheikhs, where all the sheikhs in the various groups, categories of groups, whether Izala, Shia, whatever it is, are fighting each other. They are busy trying to deconstruct each other. And while they are fighting among themselves, suddenly Yahya Masussuka came up and he said he doesn't believe in the hadith, he only believes in the Quran. And now you have all of them, they'll stop fighting each other. And then they started fighting him. And then they were saying he should be arrested. And he said, arrest me for what? For I had my opinion. I didn't break any law. I'm just saying my opinion. You have the right to your own opinion. I have the right to my own opinion. It was social media that gave us this independence. It was this social media that will lead us to salvation or it will lead us to doom. So it is up to us as providers, as critical stakeholders, to see how we can create a situation in which culture, society, Islam, and technology go together. I think that is our main, should be our own main focus. Because even the imams, the malams, the sheikhs that use social media to propagate their teachings are now content providers. It's not just a question of Allah ya ce, manzon Allah ya ce. They are now content providers. Their body language, their gesture, and suddenly their examples. Wallahi, jiya ta kira ni, ƙarfe 11 na dare ta kira ni. Ta ce da ita da mijinta kaza da kaza. Why do we need all that? If there is a core message, just tell us the core message and link it to Islam. But they have become content providers. The clothes they wear so that they can buzz the capacity allergy. Dollar a buzz the capacity. And you see them wherever they go, with all the ladies taking selfies. Malam na daukan selfie. And garin wannan daukan selfie din ana ta daukan alhaki. Okay? So, I think HausaTech IGNITE will look at the front end of your coding, your algorithms, your data manipulation, and all that. But at the back end, we really concentrate on issues. So I'm turning the POV. Instead of the back end being technical, now I'm saying that the back end should be the technical, it should be the less technical. We should look at what does technology mean to us, for our society, for our religion, for our own identity. It is very, very important for us to do. That is what we should focus our attention on. Artificial intelligence has come up. People use ChatGPT now, which is fine, excellent. But ChatGPT is only as good as what has been given to it. Artificial intelligence does not create information. It processes information. So if you're looking for information about Kano, ChatGPT will only give you what it can find. But people tend to forget that ChatGPT and other AIs are enhanced to Google. They use the large language matrices, LLM models, in order to extract, summarize, and present the information in a human and logical way. But that information can only be available if what we upload is available. So we as Hausa are busy downloading, but we are not uploading. And the culprits in doing this are academicians like us. We have flash drives, 1 terabyte flash drive. We are now don't even use the flash drive, we use external hard drives. You have 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, whatever. You are downloading. You are downloading. To such an extent that I created a term, achibilization. Achibilis, okay? And then Achibilistan. Achibilistan is a country where people just keep downloading things free of charge. Achibilis, kawai ta kwasa, ba sai ka biya ba. And we are doing that every day. Downloading. But we are not uploading. Why are we not uploading? Are we afraid of what we upload? And sometimes when you look at, you are seeking for critical information about Hausa societies, the only place you will find it is on Facebook. Written by somebody with no scientific training, no polish about presentation of their ideas. He just simply decides he has opened a Facebook and then he puts something up there. So the challenges are many. And what is in front of us as Hausa IGNITE, it's not just a question of teaching people about algorithms, about coding, about large language models, about ChatGPT. It's about creating credible, viable information about Hausa societies and how we can share it. And this is what I think our focus ought to be. How do we train people to do all this? And how do we create podcasts to do all this? And the fact is, it has been done, but not in a regulated manner that you think of. It has been done by people as individual projects. And most of the people here, especially the younger element, will know Murja, okay, Murja Kunya. They know G Fresh, Alamin, Kano State Material. They know Sulenge, okay, they know Sulenge. They know Hausa Makeup. The Honorable Commissioner, of course, doesn't know all this because he's an old man. He's 70 years old. But fresh, young, the Chijawa like me, will know all this. So, you don't know Hausa Makeup. You don't know Abubakar Kalina. They don't know all these things. And these guys are creating public debate. They are creating public disruptions. They have the ideas. They have the technology. They have the grasp. And they are creating a difference between trending and trending. So trending means when you do something outrageous in order to get likes. Trending is when you do something very good to get likes. And you have this kid coming up, covering himself with squatani, mud, and dust because he wants to trend. And he did. He had over 500 million video views. 500 million. That translates into a lot of money. But because he doesn't know how to monetize his videos, somebody hijacked it and monetized it for him and took away the money. So these are the kind of skills that they actually need. And every 3 months, and it is from Kano here, do one shedanci da hauka da Kano yake tasowa. That is why Kano ko da mai kazo an fika. We have Ale Rufai Bill Gates. Ale Rufai Bill Gates created his own currency, Gangalion, Quintalion, Americalion, and then he paid it away. We had Ale Umar Bush, whose speciality is in abusing people. He paid. Then we have Kabir Tupac, whose speciality is dousing himself with dust. Is now paid. So every 3 months, some weird, crazy guy comes up with something in order to create high visibility and get money. But the industry experts like writers, filmmakers, and musicians at the same time are also using digital platforms in order to promote their art and make money. Like YouTube series, TV series, musicians sending off their things and so on. All these things that we do at one point are in a contradictory clash with the public culture. The public culture doesn't like it because it is too visible. It interrogates and creates disruption of the fabric of society. Why would somebody called Ulenge come up and do what he's doing? Even when music was coming up and the coordinator was saying he wants to be like me, but can you rap? Because I'm a rapper. So if you can rap, then you are going to be like me. But if you can't rap, then you have to learn how to say, a child is born with no state of mind, blind to the ways of mankind, or something like that. Abdul Karim knows that because he was in America and they were all rappers. So technology is creating a disruptive confluence between public culture, Islamic culture, and what we are doing. The challenge for all of us here, how do we create an effective pathway of effective relationship so that we can maximize the technology to promote our culture, our religion, and our sustainability. And I wish us all the best of luck. Thank you very much.